Assalamualaikum and hello. Welcome back to another video learning session for the subject UDBL 3246 research project. In this video learning session, we shall learn about literature review. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Azamdin and I'm an academician at University Tengku Abdul Rahman Kampar campus. Today, in this video learning session, I will expose to you the logistic and international shipping students about research project, particularly literature review. You may have watched my previous video related to introductions about what is research project. So in this video, I will more focus on literature review. Now, let us start the video learning session. This video learning session on literature review is just a mere introduction to the concept of literature review itself. In this video, I will concentrate on four main topics. The four main topics consist of number one, what is literature review? Here in these subtopics, I will explain about the concept of literature review. Number two, I will look at your task as a student in conducting the literature review. In this second subtopic, I will discuss on the task for you on how to conduct the literature review. The third point is the problem that faces by student, mostly particularly the logistics student. This third subtopic here, I shall elaborate or show to you what are the problems that has been faced by logistics student while conducting the literature review. And the fourth point or the fourth subtopic, look at the sources for literature review. In this fourth subtopic, I shall discuss on the sources of literature review. Where do you need to search for the right literatures to support your research? One of the questions that students always ask me is, so what is literature review? So this is the most common questions that the student from logistics and international shipping ask me. So to answer this question, I'm taking a reference from Hasna Harun, Siti Nabiha Abdul Khalid and Yuvaraj Ganesans in their handbook, a handbook for business research method published by Pearson Publication in the year of 2011. I'm referring to this book to answer the questions. According to Hasna Harun, Siti Nabiha Abdul Khalid and Yuvaraj in the year 2011, based on their books, a literature review is a documentation of comprehensive review of published and unpublished work from secondary sources. The secondary sources are the data in the area of specific interest which we are going to look deeper. That means the researcher's specific interest. So researchers going to look at this published and unpublished secondary data to look for information that will be assist them in their research. According to them, Siti Nabiha, Hasna Harun and Yuvaraj, they describe that the purpose of literature review is to convey to the readers. We are conveying to the readers on the knowledge and ideas related to the topic that we are going to explore further in our research. It is the purpose of it also to identify the strength and the weaknesses from the topic that we are going to embark further in our research. The literature review itself can be considered as the heart of your research, and it is the most important part of your write-ups. That means your chapter 2 itself, which is solid chapter 2, mostly going to consist of the element of literature review. A good literature review, according to them, a good literature review will help you to justify the problem statement, the measurement of variables, the theory that you're going to use to support your research, the finding of your research, and also is useful in the discussion and conclusion of your research. Without the support of citation from the literature review, you will find it difficult to provide and justify your arguments based on your research. What it means is that with the support from literature review, that you could able to give justification or strengthen your ideas based from the citation on these published and published literatures from the reliable sources and reliable authors. Now, we shall look at the tasks which students for the logistic and international shipping need to know regarding literature review. Firstly, when we are conducting the literature review, we have to take note on the research problem or research question that is related to our research. As a student, you are required to prove that there is an existing problem that lead you or trigger you to conduct such research. How do you prove to the readers that there is a problem in the management of warehouses with the small medium enterprise, or there's a problem of inefficiency with the urban public transportation system at certain areas, or problem on long hours lead time for loading of containers into a container vessel at certain maritime port? In providing the information that the problem is real and not a fictitious comical event, you, as the researcher in the field of logistics, maritime transportation and supply chain, need to find supporting literature that suggested or supported your ideas related to the research problem or research question that you are going to embark. In conducting the literature review, it is an appropriate approach for you to find the previous literatures that is relevant to your research areas and topic. Therefore, if you are conducting research about reverse logistics, you need to look and read articles which is related to reverse logistics. If you are doing research on logistic technologies in relation to Internet of Things or IoT, you are required to find and read articles related to 1. Logistic technologies, and 2. IoT, and number 3. A combination of both logistic technologies and IoT. Conducting such literature research will help you as a researcher to evaluate, critiques, and understood on the topic of your research. Conducting the literature review helps you to evaluate the strength and weakness of the topic, which researchers will embark on further. It will help the researchers to ensure that they are on the right path or the right track in their conducting research or their final year project journey. Now, I'm going to discuss some of the mistakes or problems which students in the Logistic and International Shipping program have in their literature review stage. From my experience as a FYP examiner and also as an FYP supervisor, I have found some of the glaring mistakes conducted by the Logistic and International Shipping student related at this stage, literature review. One of the problem that I found, that is a student not able to differentiate. The student are not able to differentiate between the literature review and the theoretical framework. As researcher for final year project, you as a student should know the differences between literature review and theoretical framework. The literature review mostly focuses on the past published or unpublished secondary literatures which you are going to use to support your argument related to your topic of research. The literatures, mostly when you are talking about literature review, you are taking the citation from past published or unpublished articles or reports that will support your argument related to your research, to your facts. However, the research framework focuses on the foundation of your research. The idea of developing the foundation of theoretical framework based on a certain theory. So, in the context of a research framework, you have to know the theory, and then from the theory itself, you start to develop your foundation, your framework, your IVs and your DV. The second problem which the student tend to write in their literature review by summarizing the article that they have read. This is one of the problems that I found from my previous students, that they write up they write up in the literature review by listing down the articles that they have read. So what they do is that they try to summarize what they have read and they put it in as part of their literature review. So this is not right. The practice, what they did is that they are just summarizing all the articles that they have read, and then they put it in as a table, and then they say that is a literature review. Luckily, I was able to correct the student mistakes and correct it before they send it to the proposal stage. Thus, as a student, you should know that reading relevant article is part of the process in literature review, and you are not supposed to write the summarize in the report. Even though the summarize is very important, especially you're going to list down what are the articles that you have read. But to put the summaries, the whole thing in your literature review, in your chapter 2, that is not the right approach. The third problems that I found, or should I say the weakness from the student in your literature review, is that student fail or not able to relate or to explain about the theories and how does it relate to the research framework. What I mean is that student not able to discuss or elaborate how does the theory created their research framework, their IVs and their DVs. Student, what I found, they are mostly focused on the problem of their research and tend to look at the research issue based on their thought and their understanding. That is good. However, this action lead to your lack of understanding of certain theory that you will want to observe the issue, because theories are becoming the spectrum of your research. How do you look at the problem at certain angle? That's where the theory come in and give you ideas on how you're going to conduct your research. Applying certain theories to your research provide the lens or angle for you to observe the problem. When you are applying a certain theory, indirectly you are looking at the problem in a certain context. So your focus now becoming much more clearer, and it becoming much more niching. It becoming much more specific. Also, most of the students not able to conduct or relate the theory with the independent variables and the dependent variables. So my advice to you as a student, it is better for you to understand the certain theories before you develop your research framework. The fourth problem that I found is that the student not able to criticize the past literatures. This is another weakness which I found among the logistic and international shipping student, that you are not able to criticize past literature regarding the topic of your research. You're not able to look at what is the strength or what are the weaknesses from the past literatures that could be utilized in your current research. Also, the student will inform the supervisor that do not know how to write in their literature review. This is one of the comments that information that been given to me by the student. Therefore, in conducting literature review, it is best for the student to criticize the past literatures. Such critical evaluation can be could be right in terms of areas that does not cover, which you think there is a gap between your research and the past literature topics. By criticizing such literatures, it indicates your awareness of regarding the topic, and you are able to embark further in the research gap that you already found. The fifth problem that I found is from the student is that it's related to the element of cut and paste. The cut and paste element, it is very glaring, and it is one of the academic, I could say it is one of the academic crime that I found among the previous student, which I able to correct to them before they proceed to the next stage. This is not a good approach for you to perform cut and paste. Things what you think is a shortcut approach is not the correct approach for you to conduct your literature review, because this so-called shortcut approach will lead you to another problem. How do I know? Because when I read the report submitted from the student, I would think there is a inconsistency in elaboration by the student to their report. As a reader, I found that the sentence or paragraph written is totally out of context, or it seems not suitable for the research. Therefore, my advice to you, please do not copy and paste or cut and paste from somewhere and then put it in your literature review and say it is yours. That is a wrong approach. Such approach could be lead to plagiarisms that we could say it is a very punishable in academic world. So when you do such approach, we think it's a shortcut, but it is not, because we as examiners, we will look at it when we do a similarity index evaluation, we will see it might go more than 50%. So this is not a good approach. So my advice to you, please do not do any shortcut such as copy paste or cut and paste for literature review. Now, let us look at the sources of our literatures. In the earlier part of this session, I did inform that literature review are a comprehensive review of published or unpublished work from secondary sources. The sentence comprehensive review of the published or unpublished work from secondary sources are referring to the sources that we will embark much further. In this session, I would like to describe some of the sources which you could use to find relevancy in finding your support for literature reviews. I refer to a book by Mukesh Kumar, Salim, Abdul Talib and T. Ramaya in the year 2013, titled Business Research Method, published by Oxford University Press. Kumar, Talib and Ramaiah suggested the sources of literature reviews should consist of A. Journal articles, B. Books, C. Conference proceeding, D. Thesis or dissertations, E. Reports, F. Internet such as Google Scholars, and G. Other sources such as CD-ROMs and magazine. Now, let us examine in details each of the sources of literature review. One of the most common sources of literature review would be the academic textbooks or any book that related to the subject matter. Books are referring to academic textbook can be considered as an excellent sources of theories and general knowledge. This is because textbooks in the topic which we are focused, such as logistics, maritime, transportation and supply chain, covers that areas that intended to provide to the readers on the subject of those logistics, maritime, transportation and supply chain. The second sources for literature review is journal article. The journal articles, either from academics or professional journal publication, are one of the best references for literature review. The reason for using journal article because number one, journal from areas such as logistics, maritime, transportation and supply chain provide the latest information about these subjects. Secondly, the journal articles provide empirical evidence as well as good conceptual framework which could be helpful in developing the research framework. The third sources of literature review should be the conference proceeding. The conference proceeding articles are very updated as it provides the most recent research that has been conducted by a researcher. However, the conference proceeding articles yet to be published. It is useful to apply some literatures from conference proceeding. The fourth sources of literature review could be from the postgraduate, such as masters and doctoral theses and dissertations. The theses and dissertations provide much of the already completed research, synthesize information on the particular areas. The thesis and dissertation is the best to search for areas such as in the logistic, maritime, transportation and supply chain. When we look at the thesis in this area, it would provide assistance or ideas to help us in our research. The fifth sources of literature review could be from published report. A published report, either from the governmental institution or professional association, usually provides a lot of information regarding to the facts and figures. Such information released by this institution is useful in justifying why we need to conduct such certain research. Therefore, when you cited the information from the government and professional association in supporting the facts of the problem that you are intended to conduct such research, such approach provide you to support the ideas or to provide evidence on your research that the problem exists. The 6 sources of literatures could be obtained from the internet. As we see, the internet is one of the most powerful medium of information and knowledge which are available nowadays. It is the fastest growing information. Most of the information which we need about something could be attained by the internet. The Google Scholar website is an example of the internet platform which could be helpful for you as a researcher to identify relevant articles which related to your research. However, the internet has some disadvantage. Some of the articles may be relevant for your research. There are also articles may be garbage, which lead your citation to become questionable. So, when you do data mining on the internet, be cautious and please look for the information that you have obtained. Does the resourceful is good or questionable? Lastly, the sources of literature review could be from other sources such as magazine and CD-ROMs. Magazines or CD-ROMs are also good sources for specialized or detailed information on certain areas. As we are focused here, we are looking at logistics, maritime transportation and supply chain. I would like to recommend for you to read published magazine from the Chartered Institute Logistics and Transport or the Ikhtisas Kelautan Malaysia, which is in English is Malaysian Professional Seafarer Association. They have many discussion on areas of logistics, maritime and supply chain. You also could refer to newspaper articles as part of your literature review. The newspaper article mostly being published on a daily basis. If you find some article in the newspaper which indicated the latest information related to logistic policy, industries association and business entities, it is advised for you to utilize such article for your research. Well, we have come to the end of our video learning session. Now, I would like to wrap up on what I have discussed about literature review. The literature review can be described as a written, documented, comprehensive review from the published or unpublished work taken from secondary sources. Such literature would be useful for supporting your research write-up. A good literature review can be seen as a heart of your research write-up or research activities. The literature review conveys to the readers on what knowledge and ideas regarding your research topic. Also, in this video, we discuss on the tasks that students need to attain during the literature review stage. When students conducting literature review, the student should look for supporting argument that to support the problems that they seek is existed. What I mean is that the problem that they are going to conduct in this research is a real problem, an actual problem that happened around them in the arena of logistics, maritime, transportation and supply chain. The literature review also provide a guidance to the student on your research activities or research approach. It is provide to you the ideas that are you in the right decisions, are you in the right path of conducting your research. The literature review also helps to evaluate any strengths and weaknesses from the topic that you are being conducted. Also, in this video, I also discuss on the problem which I found among the logistic and international shipping students related to literature review. Some of the problem that I have mentioned earlier consists of number one, student not able to identify the differences between literature review and theoretical framework. Number two, students tend to summarize what they have read for literature review. Number 3, student not able to relate the theory with the research framework. Number 4, student not able to criticize the past literatures. And one more thing, number 5, student tend to copy and paste past literatures in their report writing. However, student, please take note that copy and paste approach would tend to lead to plagiarisms. And plagiarism is punishable in the academic environment, and it could lead to your dismissal from the university. In this video, I also touch on the sources for literature review. I have listed few sources for you to look for for your literatures. What I'm referring here is the secondary sources. Some of the secondary sources that I have discussed consist of journal articles, books, conference proceeding, thesis, dissertations, report, the internet, such as Google Scholars, and many others. For example, like magazines and newspapers. Also, we could include CD-ROMs. Now, that's the end of our video learning session. I hope this session provides some ideas to you about the concept of literature review. My name is Muhammad Azam Din, and I'm looking forward to see you again in my next video learning session. Also, I would like to wish you all the best, good luck, and stay positive in your research project journey. Thank you and goodbye. Well, we're almost to the end of our video learning session. For your further reading, I would like to recommend you to read the books which is listed in the screen now.